outside your door for that perfect stroll in the spring sunshine. You can spend less time managing your home and more time enjoying the warm spring days ahead. See what that feels like at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, Illinois, and step into comfortable living for 55 and better.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. The search for a new city hall, police station, and fire station in Clinton has been a slow one. After the city missed the end of June deadline set by Mayor Helen Michalossi to name locations for all three facilities, City Administrator Tony Harris told the Heart Media Group on the WHOW Morning Show Wednesday that they continue to be in the early stages of finding property.
Helen and I, the mayor and I, were in, I don't know, it's been a couple of times. We talked about that, and she wanted to identify a location by the end of the month, last month, and we didn't make that. Again, there's really no changes. We're just in the very early preliminary stages of that. We've not identified a location. We've got a couple possible locations. We've got, talking to both of us, the mayor and I, talking to Clint, we've got a verbal commitment to how much money we've got to spend. Again, that's not really budgeted, but we've got a verbal commitment of what we can get budgeted for the next year and the year after. So we know what that amount is. It's not a lot. So that's kind of the problem. We're trying to find land that we can get very reasonable, because we know we can't afford to put a lot of money into land. And if there's a building already on it, we can't afford to tear it down. That's expensive. We've been through that. We just finished up with, a project there with that. And that was very expensive to tear that old building down up off the square. So again, in the very, very early stages, trying to identify land opportunities. That's about it where we're at right now.
Harris emphasizes that despite online speculation, the city has not made any decisions on a location, nor are they withholding information from the public on that. He notes that at times, conversations with landowners must be kept private in the interest of the owner.
I've purposely disconnected myself to some of these sites. So I don't even look at them anymore, because it does get kind of discouraging. When you look at, if you just take a good look at what's been going on in the last year and a half, 2 years within the city, there's lots of good things. So to get distracted by the negativity, I do my best not to look at that. So I don't know a whole lot of it. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people like to keep me updated on some of the misinformation that's going around, and there's a lot of it. But some of it that I've heard that we've got, we're set on a location. That is incorrect. We're not set on a location, or we're not releasing information that we have. That is not true either. There's when we're talking to landowners, we just can't. We have to be careful what kind of information that we do release when we're talking to landowners, because they tell us, hey, I don't want this out yet. We're talking to landowners that are willing to sell, but they don't want to put it on the market, or they want to give us first opportunity before they put it on the market. So they don't want that information out there. So we're very careful. Now with FOIA, we're required to release certain documents. That's what FOIA is for. So if we have the documents, we're required to release those documents. But what a lot of people don't understand, in the early stages like this, we may not have those documents. So, there's a lot of misinformation out there that we're hiding information. That's just not the case. And I would, I would tell people that if they have concerns about locations or anything when it comes to the locations of those three buildings, contact me or contact the mayor. We would be more than happy to have a one-on-one conversation. Be very careful what you're reading on Facebook. Again, we'd be more than happy to have a conversation. We may not be able to get into the weeds as to details of locations and things like that, but we're willing to talk about it.
The city is taking its time with this progress to ensure the longevity of the buildings. Harris reminds that being centralized while also spacious is crucial for the police and fire stations. He adds that the council is committed to doing all three buildings, although it may not all be at once.
These buildings are going to be around for a long time,
Mhm.
and we don't want to have, we don't want to build a building and then 2 years down the road, oh, we didn't think about this. So we're taking our time with this, and we're in the very, very early stages of it. Well, there's lots that go into it.
Yeah.
For the city hall, not so much, but when you talk about the police department, the fire department, a lot goes into that. Like, okay, the location, how is that accessible? When the trucks are going out, those type of things. What are they getting into if they're going on an emergency call? How much traffic is in the area? So, those type of things we're looking at, and that's a lot. When you're looking at a land deal, what's the building going to look like on that? Was there a building on that before that might create some issues underground when we go to build? So there's a lot that goes into it, and that's part of our strategic plan. That was, I think, strategic plan is like 2-3 years old, somewhere in there now, and that was in that plan that the citizens, they want a new city hall, fire department, police department, and that's why we've kind of got aggressive on it. Again, not too far along on it, but that was talked about in that. So that's one reason why we're doing it. And we don't want to commit to just one.
Sure.
We don't want to commit to new city hall or just the fire department. The mayor and the entire council, they're committed to doing all three. Now that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do all three right away. But what we do want to do is announce the location of all three, and then it be like a 5-year project.
We'll have more with Harris in the days ahead from the Heart Media Group on upcoming concerts on the Clinton Square, as well as more details on the recently announced residential exterior improvement program. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, new Illinois law mandates 988 info in public spaces. One of the most important traditions and fairs across the country took place last night in Farmer City. Shayla Clifton, Queen Pageant Director for the Farmer City DeWitt County Fair, indicates that last night the most participants they've had in years competed in 3 different classes in the Fair Queen Pageant. Miss Maddie Heron, Junior Miss Madison Hoffman, and Little Miss Evelyn Johnson each came home with the crown for their class.
Yes, I'm very thankful for the good weather this year. Last year it rained. It caused us a little bit of a headache, but I'm very excited. We have 25 contestants this year. It's one of our biggest years that we've had probably in the last 20 years.
Wow.
So we have 25 girls, 7 Miss contestants, 6 juniors, and 12 Little Misses. And thankfully this year we kind of range from all across the county. We have our few Farmer City girls, but we also have girls all the way over in Waynesville, Kenny, a lot of Clinton girls, Wapella. So it's really spread out representation for the county fair. So tonight at 6 o'clock, all of those girls will compete for the title of Miss Farmer City DeWitt County Fair Queen. They will compete in an interview portion here about 2:45 for our Miss contestants, and then carry on throughout the evening. Pageant starts at 6, and we kick off with a grand introduction with our fair queens, and then you'll get to meet all of our contestants.
Earlier in the day, participants went through an interview process. Clifton says this can be daunting for the girls, but it is largely questions about themselves and an opportunity to brag about themselves to the judge.
At first, I think a lot of them think it is going to be daunting. We prepare them for everything that we possibly can. It's not any political questions. They're not going to ask you who you voted for or anything like that. It's mainly about themselves. So they complete a bio. It tells them where they're going to go to school, what they want to go to school for, their dream jobs, what they're involved in. A lot of times, the 4-minute interview that the queens will get is filled with questions about themselves. What do they want to do? Why do they want to do these things? And of course, they like to wrap it up with a nice little bow of why do you want to be queen? Because that's the reason that they really want to hear is why did you compete in this pageant? Why do you want to be queen? And what do you plan to do if you were chosen as queen? I'm very shocked at how busy a lot of these girls are. They are multi-sport athletes. They're involved in clubs and all kinds of groups, and they still find time to come to practice at least once a week, and they all have it cleared on their schedules that they're going to be here fair week if they were to win. But just how busy they are and how much they do, and not just, they don't just sit around at home during the summer. They are out there, they're working, they're competing, they're in the community, and they're doing a lot.
The responsibilities of the Fair Queen are not over after she wins. In fact, they are just getting started as the winners travel around the fair throughout the weekend and participate in events.
And then tomorrow morning they wake up bright and early. The next few days they have some kind of livestock show in the morning that they will be attending. They'll be handing out ribbons, meeting the people who are showing their animals, getting to be around and about. Tomorrow night they get their first official photos done, and that'll be photos that kind of get shared around, and that'll be their first introduction to the community as those photos. After that, there is live music in Emmer's Place over there on the other side of the grandstands. They will be at that as well. Friday night, we have harness racing. It's moved from Monday to Friday, so I hope we can get a little bit bigger crowd. That's a really special event for the girls. The people who put on the show for harness racing like to involve our queens most years, so that's really fun for them to get to do. And then Saturday, we have a big day. Kids games in the morning, another, I think, a horse show Saturday morning. We also have the RC races here behind the track. That's something new, popular that our racetrack guys have put on for us, some of our volunteers. I think it's really fun. It's a different kind of Fair Week event. You don't see a lot of people that host that kind of event. And then after that, they will round out Fair Week with the tractor pulls, and they get to do that. And Sunday morning, they wake up bright and early, and they get to attend McLean County's pageant as my cousins and their crew over there run that pageant.
To learn more about all the happenings of the fair this weekend in Farmer City, visit farmercityfair.com or find the Farmer City and DeWitt County Fair on Facebook. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Chevrolet is the heartbeat of America, and now is the time to celebrate our nation's birthday in a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City, inviting you to come see our selection of Chevrolets, like the sporty Chevrolet Trax and the good-looking Trailblazer. We also have a good selection of Chevrolet Equinox and the full-size Traverse. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
It's the quiet moments you count on. A call that connects instantly, a show that never buffers, a home that just works. That's the difference with Connexus Fiber Internet. We built a buried fiber network designed for consistency, earning us the title of top-rated fiber internet provider in Illinois. With plans starting as low as $25 a month and 3-year price lock options, it's reliability you can feel without the unpredictability. Because with Connexus, connection means everything. Experience better at Connexus.com. Nothing Connexus like Connexus.
News time is 22 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. New state legislation in Springfield is aiming to make crisis support more accessible across Illinois by requiring public institutions to prominently display information for the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Senate Bill 2771, known as Tamura's Act, which amends state law to ensure 988 contact info is posted in high-traffic public locations. Tony Kirkman, executive director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, explains county shelters, public libraries, schools, nursing homes, and assisted living facilities are now required to display easily viewable materials detailing the 24/7 crisis service.
Probably the first one to tackle is Senate Bill 2771 was recently signed by Governor Pritzker about a month ago, I believe. It's known as Tamara's Law. And what that has done is it has amended a couple of the different laws that are out there. The County Shelter Care, the Illinois Local Library Act, the Public Library Act, and some assisted living and shared housing acts. And basically what the law is saying is that in public places like county shelters or in your local libraries, in assisted living and in nursing homes, those institutions, I'm sorry, also even in schools, those institutions are supposed to be providing printable material that can be easily viewed in public access areas to inform those patrons of the services and the accessibility of what is known as the 988 Suicide and Lifeline services offered by the federal government.
Kirkman emphasizes increasing the visibility of the 988 Lifeline in community spaces helps break down barriers for individuals experiencing severe depression or despair, ensuring they know trained professionals are always available to help.
So again, we're thinking about individuals where there is a lot of community traffic and trying to engage people, of making them aware of, as I've often said to your listeners, feelings aren't good or bad, they just are. And sometimes we have amazing days and some days we don't. And so in those moments where there is a lot of despair or hopelessness or helplessness or just feelings of some severe depression, it's important for individuals to know that there are resources and there are people available that are wanting to serve them 24/7. You can just pick up the phone, you can text, and you would be immediately connected. Here in Illinois, you're connected to a phone bank of licensed counselors that will be able to sit with you through your situation, talk that through, to assess, and if deemed necessary, to dispatch what's called a mobile crisis response team to help further aid you with your mental health journey.
For rural communities in Piatt and DeWitt counties, Kirkman notes that 24/7 phone, text, and telehealth options are vital tools for overcoming common local barriers to care, such as limited transportation or conflicting work hours.
Well, speaking, to our listeners here that are in a mostly rural area, I think it's fantastic because time and time again, in both Piatt and DeWitt County, one of the biggest barriers to treatment that we see is transportation. Cost would be right behind that too. So for some of those areas of I'm just thinking like in Lane or LaPlace or Hammond or Wapella, those areas where you don't have a service provider or transportation might be difficult, or you can't make the service hours there, it still doesn't mean that mental health takes a day off. So I think it's vitally important that we resource people. And I'll tell you, while the COVID pandemic set us back on a few things, what it did do was launch the necessity and the accessibility of telehealth services, which I'm a huge fan of because while I'm old school and I like to do psychotherapy in a one-on-one physical proximity, telehealth is better than no health. So I think it's extremely vital. I like where we're going with that. And so
for more information on local mental health resources and support services, contact the Piatt County Mental Health Center or dial 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Artificial intelligence is everywhere you look, in the workplace, at schools, on computers, and on phones. While having a personal assistant at your fingertips is exciting for many, for others it's a big concern, especially as AI becomes both a tool for legitimate businesses and a new method for scammers. Over the last 3 years, the BBB has received over 100,000 complaints, reviews, and scam tracker reports mentioning artificial intelligence and automation. Better Business Bureau investigator Don O'Brien says that over 90% of BBB customer reviews that mention AI services express negative experiences.
I think that we are becoming quickly tired of artificial intelligence because let's say you have a customer service issue and you want to actually talk to a real human. It used to be a little bit difficult before AI. Now it seems to be even more and more difficult. So as a consumer, we have to pack our patience when we do these things if you have to call about something.
How can you avoid AI scams? Avoid unexpected phone calls with an automated voice. If the call is important, you should be able to reach a real person, and be wary of unknown numbers. Scammers can change their phone number on the fly and will do so as part of the same scam. As the new school year approaches, an update on ag teaching openings in Illinois. John Heiser is District 1 Program Advisor for Facilitating Coordination in Agricultural Education.
So we had 68 openings. We filled 59 of those. And obviously some of that is just general movement. We did have one of our larger groups of retirements this past year. But yeah, we have about 9 openings to fill up here before school starts. And hopefully we'll get that done here right before August. And then they can transition and get ready in their classrooms and attend a few professional development events before we get this thing started.
More information on ag teaching openings available at ilaged.org. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network News is now.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. A June 1st trial date has been set for Nicolas Maduro to face drug trafficking charges in New York. The trial date was set on Wednesday in Manhattan federal court. Defense lawyers have objected to the U.S. military action that snatched Venezuela's president from power. Maduro was returned to a Brooklyn jail. The European Union has approved Paramount's $81 billion takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery, clearing a major hurdle for the merger. But that merger faces more challenges in the U.S. The Trump administration has forged a new agreement with Saudi Arabia that could potentially provide the kingdom with uranium enrichment capability for its civilian nuclear program. The framework of the agreement paves the way for the building of a uranium enrichment facility in Saudi Arabia. This is SRN News.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-744-7344. 866-744-7344.
From the Heart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. The Decatur Beanballers earned a pair of victories over the Springfield Lucky Horseshoes on Tuesday, sweeping a 7-inning weekday doubleheader in the latest edition of the Battle of I-72. Decatur overcame an early deficit to win the opening game 7-3 before its offense erupted for 21 runs in the nightcap, securing a 21-11 victory and completing the sweep. The Beanballers produced 28 runs and 23 hits across the two 7-inning contests. Decatur scored 5 or more runs in 4 separate innings during the doubleheader, using a 5-run sixth to win the opener before scoring 13 times over the second and third innings of Game 2. Springfield recorded 21 hits and showed resilience with late rallies in both games, but Decatur's timely hitting and run production proved too much as the Beanballers secured both victories in the Battle of I-72. Chase Maydroth went 4 for 4, while he and Andrew Benatendi had a pair of run-scoring singles apiece. Anthony Kay pushed through 5 innings for his first win in more than a month And the Chicago White Sox beat the Texas Rangers 4-2 on Wednesday night.
The White Sox wrapped up their 6-game road trip 4-2, beating the Rangers by the very same score to claim the rubber game in Arlington Wednesday night. Chase Mydroff, a perfect 4 for 4, including a clutch 2-out go-ahead single in the fourth.
Pitch, base hit to right. Murakami scores. Chase has a couple of go-ahead RBIs. This one to right, he's 2 for 2, and it's 2-1 White Sox. Why not step up and be the man for the night?
The White Sox return home in first place. After Thursday's off day, the White Sox open a 7-game homestand at Rate Field starting Friday night, beginning with the Houston Astros. I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 6 p.m. on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
The Sox are back in action tomorrow night against the Houston Astros. Pregame starts at 6 p.m. on WHOW. Hunter Dobbins scattered 6 hits over 6 innings. J.J. Weatherholt hit a home run in the 6th, and the St. Louis Cardinals held on for a 1-0 victory over the Los Angeles Angels on Wednesday. Dobbins, recalled from AAA Memphis for Wednesday's start, struck out 5 and walked none to help St. Louis snap a 4-game losing streak and end the Angels' 3-game win streak. Luis Gastelum threw a scoreless 7th. George Soriano had a 1-2-3 8th, and closer Riley O'Brien struck out Oswald Peraza with an 80-mile-per-hour sweeper, and Josh Lowe with a 98-mile-per-hour sinker, with 2 on in the 9th for his 26th save. Dobbins is 2-1 and escaped a first and third 2-out jam in the 2nd, a 2-on 1-out jam in the 3rd, and a first and third 2-out jam in the 4th. That inning ended with Cardinals third baseman Blaze Jordan reaching into the third base dugout to snag Tyler Heinemann's pop-up. Angels starter Reed Detmers is 3-7 and expected to be a top target of contenders looking to acquire starting pitching before the August 3rd trade deadline. Blanked the Cardinals on a 1 hit through 5 innings despite walking 2 to open the 5th. The left-hander escaped the 5th inning with the help of third baseman Vaughn Grissom, who made a backhand diving stop of Jose Fairman's grounder, scrambled to the bag for a force out, and threw to first to complete a double play. Jordan struck out to end the inning. But with 1 out in the 6th, Detmers left a fastball up to Weatherholt, who lined his 15th homer of the season over the wall in center to break the tie and knock Detmers out of the game. Cardinals right-hander Michael McGreevy is 4-7 with a 2.92 ERA and will oppose Arizona right-hander Brandon Pfaadt, who is 4-1 with a 4.58 ERA on Thursday night in St. Louis. Angels right-hander Grayson Rodriguez is 3-3 with an 8.23 ERA and will face Giants righty Logan Webb, who's 5-7 with a 3.87 ERA Friday night in San Francisco. Kiter Montero and 4 relievers combined on a 4-hitter. Hao Yu Lee hit a 3-run homer, and the Detroit Tigers beat the Chicago Cubs 5-1 on Wednesday night. Spencer Torkelson also homered for the Tigers, who have won 5 of their last 6 series, including 2 sweeps. Montero is 7-5 and struck out 8 and allowed 1 run on 3 hits, one of which was Seiya Suzuki's 17th homer in the first inning. Drew Summers, Drew Anderson, and Kyle Finnegan combined to allow just 1 hit before Kenley Jansen sealed the game with a hitless 9th. In the 4th inning, Lee drove a fastball 389 feet to left field for a tie-breaking 3-run homer that gave the Tigers a 4-1 lead. Torkelson tied the game at 1 in the second with his homer to left center field, his 19th of the season. Zach McKinstry capped the scoring with a double in the 9th for Detroit. Chicago's Colin Rea is 7-7 and allowed 4 runs on 6 hits while striking out 5 in 5 innings. The Cubs had won 3 straight series. Tigers right-hander Troy Melton is 5-1 with a 1.8 ERA and squares off against Royals righty Randy Dobnak, who is 0-0 with a 1.93 ERA in the opener of a series on Thursday. Cubs lefty Matthew Boyd is 6-1 with a 4.15 ERA and faces Pirates right-hander Jared Jones, who is 2-1 with a 4.05 ERA in the series opener on Friday. In scores from around the MLB yesterday, in 10 innings, the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the New York Yankees 5-3, while the Boston Red Sox took down the Baltimore Orioles 6-3. The Milwaukee Brewers beat the New York Mets 4-3. While the Kansas City Royals took down the San Francisco Giants 5-4. The Washington Nationals shut out the Colorado Rockies 8-0, while the Arizona Diamondbacks routed the Athletics 15-5. The Cincinnati Reds beat the Seattle Mariners 5-3, while the Los Angeles Dodgers took down the Philadelphia Phillies 9-5. The Minnesota Twins beat the Cleveland Guardians 10-6, while the New York Yankees shut out the Pittsburgh Pirates 2-0 in the second game of that doubleheader. The Tampa Bay Rays beat the Toronto Blue Jays 4-2, while the Baltimore Orioles beat the Boston Red Sox 5-1. The Atlanta Braves beat the San Diego Padres 7-6, and the Houston Astros beat the Miami Marlins 5-2. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime, all free, all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Highs around 77 today under mainly clear skies, east winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 59. Tonight, partly cloudy. Slight chance for showers. Tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 76, mainly cloudy skies. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.